Hello everyone, this is Doc again. Today I wanted to take the time to discuss some of the copper producers, royalty and development plays out there. There are several stocks out there that can provide you exposure to copper, which is a commodity where we are seeing a supply demand deficit. But before we begin, again, I want you to look at some of the legal disclaimers here. That I'm not a financial analyst or a financial advisor. This is not a solicitation to sell or buy securities. Please do your own due diligence. And none of this intellectual property is mine. Just review the disclaimer and please do your own due diligence and verify the accuracy of the information discussed. So without further delay, let's talk a little bit about some of the companies that can provide you with good exposure to the space. Also, like, I'm not a professional YouTuber or anything like that. This is actually the first video recorded, so please bear with me as I go through these technical challenges, and I hope over time I can make these presentations better. So the first company we'll discuss is Lundin Mining. It's actually one of my favorite companies. I am an investor in Lundin Mining. The projects are based in South America, in Chile. They had one project in the United States, which they have recently divested. But most of their major projects are in Chile, and there's one also in Brazil. It is selling for around their net asset value, but there is significant exploration upside here. The management here is really shareholder friendly. Their sister company, which is Lundin Gold, they have a mine up in Ecuador, and recently they passed on 100% of their free cash flow to shareholders, which is excellent. The Lundins are aligned with the shareholders. They're a very well-known family in the resource space in Canada. It is a Canadian company, but it operates largely in South America. Some of their projects are the Candelaria mine in Chile, and the new upcoming Vicuña district, which is arguably one of the top discoveries of the century. They also have a small mine in Brazil. Not a small mine. They have a mine in Brazil. I don't know the scale of that mine. I haven't looked into that. And like I said, they have recently divested their Eagle mine in the United States to Talon. But they did retain an equity interest in it, so we'll see how that goes. They are focused on the Chilean Cordillera, which has been a great place for exploring and looking for gold and copper porphyries. They have a strong joint venture with BHP in the Vicuña district, which is excellent. It is a district scale project and arguably going to be a very large copper deposit that they will be working on. They also have some ongoing exploration upside, like I discussed, and there is they do have a part of the project on the Argentinian side as well. And Argentina recently recognized this law called RIGI, which may further lower their cost of capital if approved. I'm not sure if they've applied for it. I think they have, but please verify that. And then there is an exploration vehicle that they use there as well, which is called NGEX, which is their Explorco. And essentially they have a deposit that they're working on, which is in the Vicuña district as well. And that's an excellent exploration company as well. We'll discuss about it a little bit later. The next one is Freeport-McMoRan. I am a shareholder of Freeport, disclaimer. It is a great company, provides multi-jurisdictional exposure with strong United States presence, as you can see on one of the graphics that I got from the presentation. Their most talked about mine is the Grasberg mine in Indonesia, which is an excellent asset. Has a lot of gold there as well. It's copper, gold, silver, porphyry skarn. Again, I'm not a geologist either, but this is something that I read about when I was researching the company as well. They also have some projects in South America, a couple of them. The one is a porphyry copper moly deposit, and the other one is a porphyry copper deposit. But they have about 9 projects in the United States, which is interesting. So strong jurisdictional presence in the United States. They have been a long-term operator. Also, one interesting thing to note about them is that they have a capital flow advantage. That capital does flow to them when large hedge funds are investing. They want liquidity, and this is a large corporation. It's listed in the New York Stock Exchange. It forms a disproportionate part of some of the copper ETFs as well when it comes to allocation. So any flows that go in there might disproportionately be going into Freeport, and arguably it's one of the great copper companies. That's Freeport, and I am a shareholder of Freeport. The next one is a really interesting company called Foran Mining. It's up in Canada, in Saskatchewan, and they have multiple assets located there. But the flagship mine is located there as well, which is volcanic massive sulfide deposit, and it has excellent economics. There's a multi-commodity exposure to copper, zinc. I think there's exposure to silver and gold as well. I am a shareholder there as well. I recently watched the interview of the CEO and was quite impressive. He has been the former head of zinc operations in Glencore. The share structure is really impressive. If you look at it, almost 60%, 57.5% of the shares are in strong hands. Pierre Lassonde is a shareholder, and we all know that Pierre Lassonde's partner used to call him Lucky Pierre. He's not just lucky, he's also very smart. And Agnico Eagle, which is arguably one of the best gold mining company, if not one of the best gold mining company in the world, is also a strategic shareholder. Prem Watsa from Fairfax Holdings, who is also known as Warren Buffett of Canada, is a shareholder as well. The Canada Growth Fund is invested in there as well. And the management has about 9% share ownership, which it promotes shareholder alignment. They're more likely to take actions as if they're co-investors rather than just taking a salary and diluting their shareholders, or not making decisions that are accretive on a net asset value basis per share. The next one is actually a really interesting company, and I like it not just because it has a multi-commodity exposure, but I like the business model. It's a royalty company called Ecora Resources, listed in London and also listed on TSX. I really hope they list on New York Stock Exchange as well, or any stock exchange in the United States, because really I do think that they could experience substantial capital flow, if they make it easier for people to invest. There is a foregone opportunity in a lot of resource companies who are not listed in the United States on a non-OTC exchange. A lot of Americans have a substantial part of their wealth in 401ks. Some of these 401ks allow them to invest their money in a self-directed manner. But there are several there's several restrictions. Some don't allow you to buy OTC stocks. Some allow you to buy ADRs or depository receipts, but not foreign foreign listings that end in an F. You can buy the ones that end in a Y. In some of them. Some of them don't allow ownership at all, of things listed on OTC. So I think in the resource space, it is really a foregone opportunity, which a lot of companies could really make a small change, and it could really improve capital flows. Basically, what I like about Ecora is the first thing is that the business model is excellent. It is a royalty and streaming company which has exposure to base metals and critical minerals, and has a significant exposure to copper. As you can see, copper is about 50% of their commodity exposure. I'm not sure if it's by NAV basis or by cash flow basis, but I'll have to go back to the presentation and look at it. But they're advertising a substantial amount of commodity exposure. Another thing I like about this company is that they have exposure to metallurgical coal, although the mining in their area under their royalty is probably going to go on for a year or two. You can confirm it from their presentation. I wish they had a longer met coal exposure, but they are trying to pivot away from met coal into base metals. Essentially, their strategy has been using these cash flows to acquire royalties in critical and base metal space. So they're trying to pivot into that. And that has also been a reason for why this company has been not trading at a multiple that you would expect. Actually, for a long time, it was trading, I think, less than half NAV. Now it is about 0.8 times NAV the last time I checked. But there is a significant opportunity for a re-rate. The CEO is fiercely um, um, and ferociously educating people about their pivot into critical minerals as well as copper. There are not a lot of copper heavy royalties out there, and this happens to be one of them. It also provides exposure to rare earths, vanadium, like I said, met coal, which is a really strategic asset as well, because it's used in steel making, calcium carbonate, some gold exposure, iron ore exposure. So overall, it diversifies the commodities you're exposed to, and also there's jurisdictional diversification. Beyond that, you have exploration upside in royalties. So, the companies or the producers, they, explore their the mining areas, and you can find more resource, and that essentially that optionality comes to you for free, and it's oftentimes it's underpriced or undervalued. The other thing is, especially since we live in a world of inflation, I'm not saying that there's hyperinflation. Inflation has been a little bit high in the past few years. I don't know what it's going to be in the future. But overall, since you don't have any capital and operational expenses in this business model, you are relatively shielded from the inflationary impact. I would argue to say that because most commodity prices benefit from inflation, so your costs stay relatively fixed unless that management is doing some foolish things, and because of the cost benefit, you do get a larger chunk as a gross revenue, and a lot of the gross revenue does flow down as a net revenue. So as a business model, it's excellent, and there's not a lot of royalties that I'm aware of. Please educate me in the comments if you're aware of some others that provide a good exposure to copper at this percentage. So overall, it's an excellent company. I would love to speak with the CEO at some point. Please note conflict of interest. I am a shareholder of Ecora, and as I'm increasingly learning more about the company, my exposure to this company is going to grow and continue to grow. The next one is also a royalty company, which is Elemental Royalty Company. It basically is a result of a merger from EMX Royalties and Elemental Altus Royalty Co. About 33% of their NAV is from copper. I just looked at the presentation, which is really interesting. And one of their cornerstone assets is the 1.30% uncapped royalty from Caserones mine from Lundin Mining. And this is listed on their December 2025 investor presentation. They do have really cool gold royalty on the Timok project as well, which is operated by Zijin Mining. But since we're talking about copper, we'll stick to copper. But yeah, about 33% of NAV from copper. The most distinguishing feature of this royalty company, EMX, before the merger, was a royalty generator. So they generate their own royalties along with acquisition. Now they have an acquisition model, plus they have retained their royalty generation model. The other thing that I really admire Dave Cole, he's an excellent CEO as well as a great geologist. And to be honest, he knows finance really well. But the metrics that they judge their performance on is the NAV per share, so net asset value accretion per share over time. So regardless of what the price of the company does, they have this mindset they have to accrue value on a per share basis. And we may see, like in a lot of mining companies, that although their market cap or enterprise value goes up, because of the severe amount of dilution, non-aligned, managements, on the per share basis, there has been value destruction in a lot of the companies, especially and honestly, a lot of big companies as well. So it's very refreshing when you hear from a CEO like Elemental, and also from CEOs such as Amar Al-Jundi, from Agnico Eagle, that the way they judge their performances by accretion of NAV per share is excellent. There are very few companies that operate in the space with that mindset. So this is definitely a gem. There's another royalty company, that is a new royalty company, actually not talked about a lot, and it is the Lundin royalty vehicle spin out of NGEX. So NGEX is the Lundin family's exploration vehicle that is exploring the Vicuña district in Chile, and they've had like great success. I mean, it is a phenomenal discovery. The Vicuña district is a JV. A lot of that part is a JV between BHP and Lundin Mining, but these are the two new deposits that they've been working on: Los Helados and what's it called, Lunahuasi. So they did a spin out of the royalties on the project, royalties of the project in this new vehicle called Lundin Royalties, or Lunar Royalties to be more accurate. One thing that I admire the company for is that the management, pre-spin out by the Lundin Trust, there was a private placement, and they did private placement pretty much at the market, like at $25 a share. I could be wrong, but they bought the shares in the company. They capitalized NGX for further exploration at the price. Now that's putting your money where your mouth is. I want to be involved in management such as that. Recently, there was an interview of the CEO, was one of the Lundin family members, who's been leading this company, Adam Lundin, I believe, on Money of the Mind podcast. Excellent people. You should check them out. Really, really technically knowledgeable, fun guys to watch. I love watching them. They're Australians. Love their accent. I've learned a lot from them. Really, really good people to follow if you are in the resource space. You'll probably learn a lot more than you would from me watching those guys out there. Shout out. Thank you. But there's a third asset in NGEX that this royalty doesn't cover. But again, it's a de-risked way of exposing yourself to exploration upside, which, I expect, and this is just my opinion, that there is going to be a lot more of. If you look at the newer drill holes coming out, there's a lot of gold they're finding there as well. So it's excellent. I mean, this is, I'm a shareholder, and I'm going to be increasing my shareholding in this as like my exploration and advanced development play. It is likely that this is going to take at least 10 years or so to go into production. But when it goes into production, the probabilities are that you would not be able to acquire these shares at the price that they're going at right now. The other thing is that I think NGX is trading below NAV. I think it's trading around 0.7 to 0.8 times NAV. So if you spin out the royalties on that, royalties are usually valued highly. The few things that you value the royalties at is one, it just sells for more than what a deposit would in general. But also, if you go and watch that podcast, there's a talk about acquiring some cash flowing royalties which allow a re-rate. Now, if the Lunar royalties are trading around NAV, you have the Lundin long-term shareholder-oriented name behind it. You add a few cash flowing royalties, the re-rate to this is going to be spectacular. And again, this is all speculation, but I'm just saying that that's something to look forward to. That would be spectacular. One more company that I do not currently have a position in, but I'm extremely interested in it, is Robert Friedland's company, Ivanhoe Mines. He also has a corporation, Ivanhoe Electric, which is a US based copper advanced development play, which you can look into if you don't want exposure to Africa. This is based in Africa. You know, they have three fantastic mines providing a multi-commodity exposure. Kamoa-Kakula and the adjoining West Forelands exploration project in Congo, the Kipushi zinc mine in Congo as well, and then this Platreef PGM mine in South Africa. Now it is selling for not for a discount to their NAV as well. The last I checked, and I mean, if you look at the way that PGMs are trading at, and Platreef's going into production in the coming year, I believe. I don't think that those potential cash flows are reflected in the valuation at all. There is definitely a political risk, socio-political risk in Africa, but Robert Friedland, is very well connected. He has navigated that landscape well. He's been involved in the continent for a long time. If you look at the company's strategic shareholding, you see there's some strategic shareholders that do provide stability as well. The board has some really well-placed people, including some influential politicians there as well. So this is overall that does provide a great degree of political de-risking as well. I really love this company, but at the same time, because of those reasons, I'm not a shareholder yet. I am very tempted, and I'm going to look into it more. One thing to be aware of is that there has been a recent seismic event at Kamoa-Kakula, which may have an extended impact on their long-term economics. Now, speaking of seismic events, there was a seismic event even at Grasberg, which I failed to mention, and the company has provided some updates on the recovery plan in their November 2025 presentation. There was unfortunate loss of life in this event, and my prayers are out there for the families of those who lost their lives. Going back to the company, these are basically the companies I own, so I want to discuss them before moving forward. Ivanhoe is one that I'm sort of on the fence about. I really like it. I might end up buying it, but we'll see. Now there are some other companies that I've been looking into. I haven't done like a lot of research on that, but I will be happy to provide some information that I'm aware of on these companies. But again, I haven't done like a lot of research on them for one reason or the other. I wanted to first talk about the ones that I'm actually invested in. So let's talk a few more names. There's Glencore, which is a large base metals trading company, as well as they have mines. One thing that I really like about Glencore is their acquisition of their met coal assets from Teck from Canada. That is an excellent deposit, which Teck sold, unfortunately. Met coal is a very strategic resource as well, but like I haven't looked into the economics of Glencore. And buying it just for the met coal assets, I didn't feel like doing it. I can get exposure to that through like other corporations in the United States, like Warrior Met Coal, which has an excellent met coal deposit, especially with the Blue Creek mine that is coming online soon. I'm pretty bullish on met coal, if you couldn't tell, but yeah, that's a conversation for another time. The other one, Teck is another one that I was a shareholder of, but since they sold their met coal assets, I'm not a shareholder anymore. It is an excellent company. I've been looking back into it, given the economics and the demand supply, tightness in the copper market. But yeah, and First Quantum is another one, and in the past couple of years, there's been a lot of talk about the Cobre Panama shutdown. So that was an unfortunate event that happened in Panama. But if there's a resolution, they could have a re-rating. Regardless of that, they still have a lot of exposure to copper. There's another a company called Taseko. I don't know how to say that name, so please forgive me. But it's trading under NAV. Now, I haven't looked at their assets yet, but that's an interesting one that came to my notice that I really want to look at. Codelco is the Chilean mining company. Not particularly interested in it, but I wouldn't write it off just because I don't know about it. If you guys want to look at it, you're very welcome to. And actually, if you find something interesting, please drop a comment as well. Marimaka Copper Company is another one. It's a development play, which has robust economics. It doesn't have a super long mine life, but the economics of the project are excellent. And this is something that I want to explore more. Highland Copper is another possible development play here in the United States. They have a deposit up in Michigan, which seems like it's been permitted. I haven't looked too much into the company yet, but it is definitely selling really cheap. I don't know the reasons why, and unless I do know the reasons, I don't feel comfortable investing in it yet. But it is an interesting prospect that I really need to study more. Hot Chili is another one, and it is another Chilean deposit, a really large deposit. They have a strategic water resource which they have valued at $1 billion or so. Or I don't know if they've valued it or somebody else has valued it. I haven't looked into the company more, but it is strategically located in terms of it's not in the highlands. It's somewhat closer to the port. It has a water asset, which can be an issue in those areas, especially while mining for copper. So this is another one I would be looking at. Cisco Metals, again, with Sean Reason's vehicle, Cisco. It's an excellent development company. I think last I checked it was selling at 0.3 times NAV. They've had some strategic investments not too long ago from like some pension funds, etc. And this is definitely one that should not be ignored. Western Copper and Gold is another company. They have the Casino deposit that might go into development soon. That's another one to watch out. I have not done a lot of due diligence on that, or frankly, I haven't looked much into it. McEwen is an excellent company. Rob McEwen is an excellent CEO in the mining space, and he has been a good steward of capital. In the company, he has about $200 million of his own wealth invested. He's only taking about $1 in as salary, so he's very aligned with the shareholders. The company does have copper assets. The Los Azules, is it Los Azules? Probably. I have to double check the name. The deposit down in South America. They're planning a spin-off in Q1, so I would consider it not just a gold copper miner, but also a special situation where the spin-out can actually create value for shareholders. And this is all speculative, so take it with a grain of salt. One more thing to be aware of here would be that there are like analyst consensus that are valuing the company at 0.48 times NAV, but then there are other people who value it more fairly. They say that it's more fairly valued. Regardless, I do anticipate that spin-out of the copper assets has the potential of unlocking significant value for shareholders. I think I'm going to be buying it first thing on Monday, but as of now, I'm not a shareholder, but I look forward to it. Fuerte Metals is another one which has a coffee project, gold project that was spun out of Newmont, and Pierre Lassonde helped accruing this asset to this company at a very, very substantial discount, or a very attractive price. And Mr. Lassonde has been a great steward of capital, and having him on the shareholders register is definitely a vote of confidence. They do have some copper assets down in South America from Atacama Copper, but I haven't really looked into those assets. This is another one that I want to explore more. Ivanhoe Electric is Mr. Friedland's company that people can look into if you're not interested in investing in Africa, which I think, I at times think that the political risk is overblown, but again, I'm very biased. I love South Africa. I've visited several times. It's one of my favorite places to go. There are a lot of socio-political challenges there, but again, you have to look at the cost-benefit ratio. But for more conservative investors, Ivanhoe Electric is another advanced development project here in the United States, which they should look into. It's excellent. The economics look good, and you have a great jockey leading the company. Another one to look into, which I'm really excited about, is Arizona Sonoran Copper Company, which is also located in Arizona. Great economics when I looked at the study, and excellent IRR. And the shareholder register is a tight share structure, good shareholders. You have a lot of shares in strong hands. This is another one to watch for. I would say like the ones that I'm most excited about, and the ones we've discussed so far, are Cisco as well as Arizona Sonora in the developers. McEwen is also an excellent one because of the special situation. Last but not the least, there are some prospect generators. I don't invest in exploration companies, but there are ways to do exploration or get exposed to exploration in a much more de-risked manner. And these are some of the interesting companies that I have been looking on. Aldebaran Resources, they own the Alter deposit in Argentina, and that's an excellent one to look at. I have not looked at it in great detail, but like while looking at and researching the copper deposits in South America, it stands out to be a large one, and certainly deserves more attention if you're looking to invest in copper space, especially if you're looking to invest in the prospect generator model. Almadex is another one, and I must say that I am very impressed intellectually by the CEO, who he has a PhD or advanced degree in geology, and I actually read several hundred pages of his 400-page thesis from his university, which is available online, and he's made some excellent discoveries in Mexico, and he's trying to replicate that in a de-risked manner up in the United States. So they've staked a lot of properties here in the United States. And he has his own unique way of looking for deposits that may have been overlooked by other explorers. So from an intellectual standpoint, very admirable company. They have their own drills, so they can drill targets themselves to scout some holes at their deposits. And just the intellectual capital in this company is amazing. AMark Resources is another one. Excellent prospect generator. I think they are exploring or expanding or defining the resource more at one of the projects up in BC. But I haven't studied it in much detail. I'm not a shareholder yet, but it's upon initial review, this looked like a really interesting company. Kincora Copper is another one. Actually, really excited about this one. I do not invest in exploration, but if I had to, this would be one that I would consider strongly. They are looking for porphyry deposits across the world, and I think some of the members of the team have had involvement in large porphyry deposits in the past as well. Now, the interesting target that they're exploring, which I found out to be quite interesting, is the one in Macquarie Arc down in Australia, and that target looks quite promising. I've read a few other geologists, much more. I'm not a geologist, but geologists who know a lot more about this region. There are write-ups on the region. I did read up on the region as well, and it seems like it's a promising target. There have been several porphyries that have been discovered around the same area, and they drilled this, I think, in November. We haven't heard of any drill results yet, but I look forward to it. This would be an exciting one to look at. And I would say like the prospect generators, like, you know, more than anything else, a lot of these companies have great intellectual capital, and if you are interested in learning more about geology and space, these could be excellent people to look up to. I certainly have learned so much reading about, you know, these deposits from these people, and they're just fantastic to listen to. I am not a geologist, you know, I am in medicine, but this is definitely a field I'm quite interested in, and intellectually stimulating. So yes, if you have some other companies that you guys are investing in, or you guys want to discuss more, you know, shoot me like message. I don't know, like write comments. This is my first video, and if you want to subscribe, that's great. You know, I don't promise a video every week or so. I do this as a hobby, and it's really fun for me. It's intellectually stimulating, and you know, if there's any wrong information that I provided, my apologies, and please feel free to correct me and also provide your inputs. It would be cool to discuss these companies in more details, and if you would like me to do that, I can do that at some point after I look into them more. Give me your feedback in the comments. Look forward to hearing. Thank you.